Yo, what's up, gamers? It's your boy Golden12 back with another Honkai Star video, and today we will be talking about. Actually, hold on, let me mute the sound of the game so it doesn't like get annoying. Yeah, hi YouTube. Today we're gonna be talking about multiple things. I'm gonna do a big like combo video, because I mean, if it's not if I don't blabber too much, which I'm already doing, it's gonna be hopefully not too short. But whatever, let's get into it. Ignore the introduction. So the main thing here is that we have brand new relics for 2.0, the release 2.0. And these relics are very interesting in how they function for our current cast, right? You Most players probably will get a lot of use out of this for if have been summoning for anybody for the past few updates and going forward, because these are tailored towards the pretty much meta that we are going into with the break and debuffs, right? So to hop into it, the first set we have here is the Pioneer Diver of Dead Waters. I think that's how you say that. I'm gonna throw a hot honey bun on you if you don't like some subscribe. Yeah. So the diver set here, the two-piece increases damage dealt to enemy with debuff by 12%. Now this is huge because anybody can use it, and 12% is higher than the elemental damage percent of most two pieces. So this will be very interesting for a lot of characters to use as a two-piece, and it seems pretty universal in that regard, especially if the character has a debuff themselves, right? And the four-piece increases crit rate by 4%, and whenever the wearer deals damage, uh, oh my god, English, Jesus Christ, it's worded very weirdly, okay? The wearer deals 8/12% crit damage to enemies with at least 2 to 3 debuffs. After the wearer inflicts a debuff on enemy targets, the aforementioned effect increases for 1 turn. So basically, right, with the word vomit that it has there, my understanding of this is that the four piece gives you a flat 4 crit, and depending on the number of debuffs, if it's 2 or 3, you will do 8%. You'll have 8 increased crit damage or 12 increased crit damage, right? If you have a debuff on the character that can be applied for that attack, right, that you do, you will get double that crit damage for 1 turn, right? Just like other 1 turn buffs, right? It will be applied until, like after the character goes again. So this will double this up to 16 and 24 crit damage respectively. Very strong for Dr. Ratio. This is arguably his new best set for any Dr. Ratio fans. You're going to want to farm this. And for any DOT fans, or not, sorry, DOT fans, I'm getting ahead of myself. And for anyone else who has a debuff on them, is going to want this, right? So Acheron obviously is going to want this as her set because she's, another Nihility character that is going to be doing crit focus stuff. So yeah, very interesting set that could be beneficial for a lot of characters. And the other set is a break set. So the Watchmaker set increases your break effect by 16%, just like Thief. And then the four piece, this time we get whenever whenever a character uses their ultimate on an ally, everybody gets break effect by 30% for 2 turns. Cannot be stacked. This is Rune May's new best set, and arguably the new best set for multiple other supports, but I'm going to get into that in one moment. I'm going to finish the rest of this page because it's very helpful. So for anyone wanting the newer characters, you're going to need to farm their new trace materials, right? Going forward, every character is going to have new trace materials for the most part, right? Unless they do like, a regional thing with some of the characters like they do in Genshin. But right now we've got a new material for this is enemy and boss drops, right? So we've got a new ice type 1, we have a new quantum type 1 for those two, because we're getting a quantum and ice character next update for the new area. So for anyone wanting what's her name, Sparkle or Misha, you can't pre-farm them yet because they're getting new material drops from bosses in the next update. Same thing goes for the other paths. So we will be getting new paths, or sorry, new materials for Harmony characters, new materials for Nihility characters, and new materials for Destruction characters. So going forward, these are going to be new domains for us that we'll have to farm up to get our characters. And so if anyone was expecting to upgrade the Black Swan, you're out of luck because you have to farm this new trace material. Same thing goes for Misha and Sparkle, right? And then this is just them updating the rewards that they'll, the enemies will drop different rewards, right? And so let me talk about who can actually use the relic set real quickly. I'm going to pause. All right, gamers. So I put a little thought into it after pausing the video on what to do for the character relics, as this is definitely the most important part of the video. Who can actually use these relics? So I did a little breakdown here on stream, just real quickly, to sort of talk about who can actually use the relics, and I'm going to explain this very briefly because I know are not too in detail, but I'm just because it's not really important for most of these characters. Um, because really you're only going to use it on a select amount. But just keep in mind this is a very good like general domain, but it heavily depends on who you're running for your team setup, right? And I'm sure you're asking, why did you put like half the supports in the game on the break set? There's a good reason for that, and it's called the break meta. So all these characters down here and other, they have options that far outdo whatever these would do for these characters. Like the physical characters, their set's already really good for them. The quantum characters, they already like do really well at the quantum set. They get extra from it, so it's not really a big deal. And then like the defense characters, they don't need it because they get the other sets and have like, effect hit rate and all this stuff, right? So all these characters here, they have their reasons for being here. You wouldn't use either of the sets on them, or you can't use the sets on them, right? We're gonna go up for the two-piece break real quickly. Fire MC and Shuei can both use the two-piece very well. Shuei obviously does better with the quantum set in most scenarios, right? For especially if they are quantum weak. But the break set is very good and does keep up because you get higher breaks from the quantum, break, right? So yeah, it's a usable two-piece on her. So the four-piece break set for all these characters, right? Now it's on ultimate use if it's targeting an ally, right? All allies get break percent. Obviously, this is Rune May's new best set. Yes, you're gonna drop like 3 to 4 substats worth from the four-piece from Thief to this new set, but this does give her additional supportive effects by buffing everyone's break effect by an extra 30, right? 30 is pretty large. That means Rune May with just her thing, with her passive plus the ult, will then give 50 break effect. So that will be huge for characters like Shui He, who will be on the team, who obviously scales extra from break effect, and literally anybody else because of how insane Rune May's kit is. This is by far her best set and will be huge for her buffing. Now, obviously, if you are willing or don't want to run 4-piece speed, or you're trying to do a whole thing with break, like break skills and all this stuff, like all this break going on, you can use it on any of these other supports. Quick note for Ting Yun is that if you don't run speed set on Ting Yun for whatever reason, I don't personally because I need the other stats, right? I run the cowboy set. This could be actually a very good option for her, as you would allow your Ting Yun to now also buff break as well, which in some cases can be good. So again, this is a set that will give you a lot of options. Same thing for Bronia, as again, while speed set on her is fantastic, you do have the option of running the break set. Obviously, there's the healers. There's Asta, who again, speed set is arguably her best by far, but just like I said before, it's an option. And then same goes for the rest of them, right? If you want your Ho-Ho to also buff break on top of her attack buffing, go right ahead, right? Hinya, same scenario, right? Just extra buffing you can get on those characters as an option. Is it their best in slot? No, most likely not, right? But it's an option that can be good in some scenarios. But on Rune May, I would say it's her best. And then there's the crit set or the debuff set. This set is obviously really good on all the Nihility characters that because they apply, debuffs, right? And the reason Himiko's up there is because often you will use her on a team with a debuffer, and she applies burn herself, so she can use the two-piece. And again, you can make arguments for all these characters using the two-piece because it is pretty strong as long as you run like Pella on the team. But generally, this is the ones I put up here that it's like you actually probably could run this and it'd be totally fine. Jing Liu's up here because she already gets so much attack that instead of a two-piece attack, you could do two-piece debuff, especially if you use her with Pella. I'm not sure how viable it is in terms of numbers. I should probably run the numbers, but this is something that you could feasibly run on this character because she doesn't get too much from the sets as is, right? The deviation for damage from all the sets is pretty close. It's like within 1%, right? Same thing with Hook as Himiko. Dan's in the same scenario where you either run 4-piece like Imaginary or like 4-piece Cowboy set, otherwise it's just a combo 2-piece, so it works on him. And then Physical MC, same sort of thing. Now, I put these characters up here for multiple reasons. So Pella, I was just looking at it, and you could actually theoretically do DPS Pella, and this would be her best in slot set, because Pella doesn't really care what artifacts you put on her. It doesn't matter, right? Many people do the wind set for like term manipulation and stuff like that. But Pella, she really doesn't get too much from relics in the first place, right? It's not a big deal what you run in her. This potentially could be her best set for like damage because she always applies the debuff at E4, right? Whenever you've got sorry, her E4 and her ultimate, right? As long as you have enough effect res. So, or effect hit rate. So, because she's always applying a debuff, you'll always have 1 to 2 debuffs on her, or if you run the Purals of Sweat, you'll have 3. So you can get the full crit buff by yourself on Pella and have her actually do damage. So this potentially could be Pella's best set for damage because of how it functions, which is very, very nice. Dan applies his own debuff, so he can also, of course, use the 4-piece set, right? You'll have to run the debuffer to get the other effects from it, but you could actually use it. Welt does apply multiple debuffs on his own. He can apply up to, I believe it's just 2. I don't know if the break counts as a debuff for the thing. I'll have to get confirmation on that, but it'd be pretty good. Ratio, this is arguably his best set because he does apply his own debuff. Silver Wolf, if you're doing DPS Silver Wolf, you could do that. And then if you're doing a crit Serval, you could actually make use of the 4-piece, but I wouldn't really run it. But yeah, that's just the basic, quick rundown of the whole thing. I do think these sets are very, very good and have a lot of potential for characters, especially going forward, as it seems that with these kits, we are going into a break and debuff heavy meta, right? So that's awesome. To quickly go into the next thing, as this video is already getting long in 10 minutes of, Yap Demon 12 here, or 11 minutes actually. So that's the new relics and the new materials that you have to farm for the new characters. On to the thing that I'm most interested in, the new free-to-play light counts. Now, there is more that, so I already talked about the update being like a day earlier, apparently, with the time zone. So that's cool. And then there's obviously the character Black Swan, who I won't go over in this video. And then her light cone, right? Her light cone is obviously really good for her and other DOT characters. So we can move on to the important thing, right, of having the free-to-play light cones. Hey Noose, what's up? How you doing? All right, so to round off this video, the 2.0 has a lot of great stuff in it, right? Y'all can see it on screen. I'm sure you've already watched the live stream or other people's videos on it. There's a bunch of new stuff, 20 summons, a free character selector, all this crazy stuff. It's awesome. By the way, if you want my suggestion, either Asta or Gwenhyphen. I don't think the other 2 characters are worth it. I'll just say that right now. And yeah, other good stuff, right? So we already talked about the materials, all that. And let's finish off with these light cones. So we have free-to-play light cones for each path, right? Are they good? No. You can leave the video. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time. As for their actual details. So the first one is it increases your damage based on how much HP you spend during that turn, and it lasts for a certain number of turns. This sounds okay for Blade because he does drain his own HP, but I don't think it's very good at all. It seems like it's made for Sam based on the image, so we'll see how this plays out for Sam. But to me, this light cone doesn't sound good at all for what it does, because you have to spend HP to get damage, but then it has, downtime versus other free-to-play light cones. And considering what's in the shop in the first place, right? Let me actually pull it up real quickly. The other shop one, it's this one. I believe it's Wolf. It's the Wolf one. This just gives you attack percent, right? Yeah, it is that one, yeah. So yeah, it's this one, and this just gives you flat attack with increased damage to specific, debuffs. I mean, I feel like this is better for most the characters, but there's also the Herta one, which is what you'll be running anyways, right? So yeah, this one doesn't get too much use. No, these okay, to clarify, because someone asked in chat, these are in the MOC shop. So you know where you get the currency from the weekly bosses and the other currency from Pure Fiction and MOC. So when you go here, this is where the light cones will be. They're completely free to play light cones. I'm assuming that they'll be dropping from weekly bosses as well, but I don't actually know or have any information to confirm that. I just know they'll be in the shop, right? So yeah, this will be how everybody gets them. Does it say that they'll be in the bosses? Yeah, it doesn't say they'll be from the bosses, so we'll see. We'll see. So yeah, there's the hunt one. So this increases the wearer's attack, and whenever the wearer gets a crit, they get crit damage, and it stacks up to 4 times. Um, that's pretty good, but I don't know who actually wants to use it. Maybe free to play Dr. Ratio, but it seems worse than the other options, right? Like the 5-star option's pretty solid for him. So I don't know if you'd want this. I mean, Ratio falls off without his light cone or Topaz's light cone, so it's here nor there. Topaz and other hunt characters, I also don't see getting too much use out of this because it's based on multi hits, and especially Dr. Ratio. Actually, he doesn't have a multi hit, right? All of his things are single hit. So I don't really know who's getting a lot of use out of this except for maybe 4-star Dan, but I don't think it's as good as the other options. So this one also seems pretty bad to me, unfortunately. There is the Erudition one. This one is going to be worse than, yes, hi YouTube. This one is going to be worse than Breakfast, and I'll tell you why. So while this gives you a nice amount of attack, it's 24%, I believe, and it gives up to like I think what 30 crit damage. Let me actually check that real quickly because it's on this site, right? Yeah, so 24 and 40 crit damage. So the problem with this one is it requires you to attack 2 weakness-specific enemies, otherwise you don't get the 2-piece. While Breakfast will give you flat up 24 attack, or sorry, 24% damage percent, right? And then if you get kills, up to 24 attack percent. So that's just going to be way better and way more practical than this new light cone. So unfortunately for Erudition fans, this one is kind of pointless and just kind of sucks. It will be okay in pure fiction, but again, having to attack 2 corresponding weakness type enemies is a very harsh restriction for something that doesn't seem very much worth it. The Harmony one, this one's interesting. What this does is it's kind of like it just gives you damage percent for using abilities. So if you use a skill, you get damage percent for skills. If you use a basic, you get damage percent for basics. If you use ultimates, you get damage percent for ultimates. So I don't know who would ideally use this on these elements, but it could be very interesting for a lot of characters because it gives you specific type buffs, right? So if you were to use your like skill for Jing Liu to buff her, you would then get skill damage percent buffing Jing Liu's skill only, and she does her damage mostly for her skill. And so that would be very interesting for all these characters who it could be used on, right? As you know, someone like Sparkle, you're going to get skill 90% of the time, but that one time you get that ultimate damage buff, right? So there will be a little bit of playing around with this to get it to work. I don't think it's going to replace any light cone, but it could be an interesting option for future characters, right? The Hildy one. This one looks like Black Swan's free to play option and a solid free to play option for every DOT character because you get damage percent for applying a debuff. And this is whenever they have debuffs on the enemy, right? So it's you get increased damage up to 3 times whenever you apply a debuff, right? And then it gives you attack percent based on having over 80% effect hit rate. So like on Sampo, right? This could be an option for him because this would allow you to run an effect hit rate body and still get the equivalent of an attack percent body pretty much. So this will be pretty good for DOT characters that are trying to run effect hit rate without losing, you know, attack percent stats, right? Very powerful option for anyone running DOT teams, right? It's another option, right? Will be better than like Eyes of Prey, no, but it's a very solid option for you to run. Preservation. This one is weird to me because of its numbers. So it gives you effect res, which is actually pretty good defensively, but then it gives you damage percent for how much defense you have. The problem is that it has the most absurd defense value. So in case you can't do the math, right, I'll do it for you. It wants you to have like 4,000 defense, right? So it's 20% effect res, and then every 100 defense, you get 1.2, right? Well, you want to know what's funny, right? You get 1,000, right? Hold on, let me math this. I forgot what the numbers were. Okay, I did the math real quickly. So you take 4,000 times 0.012, 1.2%, and you get 48%, right? Or the number 48, which would be 48%. So you need 4,000 defense to max this out. I don't know who's getting that number of defense or even what purpose. Like 4K defense? How do you get 4K defense? And is it worth 48 damage percent for building this much like I don't know how you're supposed to get this at all. So we'll see. I think it's for the funny shield man at adventuring, right? I'm losing my voice a little here, but you know the new guy. Maybe you're right. Maybe future relics. But it's for the new hot gambler guy, right? I don't know where is he at. This guy. I'm pretty sure it's for this guy. A free to play option for him. But I have no idea in the hell how you're supposed to get 4K defense. That's just absurd to me. So yeah, could be good, but right now seems kind of pointless. And then lastly, we have the abundance one, which I'm interested in because I think I know where this is going. But it gives you break effect on your abundance character, and whenever you do a basic attack, it restores HP for the wearer. So it has Gallagher on it, and it has break effect. This leads me to believe Gallagher is a break effect character that's going to scale something off break effect and buff your characters, kind of like ho ho. So could be interesting. Right now it sounds terrible, but it could be good. We don't know, right? Especially with the break effect set coming in. Maybe he applies break as well, just like Renmei. Not really sure, but yeah, I'm gonna end it there for this video. It's 21 minutes of yapping. Hopefully people thought this was useful. Me talking about the new relics and the new light counts, and yeah, see you guys in the next one.